What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Victor. It's such a long time, but right away today we are going to be having some kind of cool down mix that we am going to be showing you guys concerning a mix. So I'm going to be putting you guys through on how you can mix your vocal perfectly fine to sound just like the type of industry standard that you have been hearing in your ears. There are just little tricks that you guys to know. You don't need to do much, and you don't need to add too much plugins to it. So before I say much, I am going to be playing this sound for you guys. So you guys see this this vocals is being recorded in my studio, and I'm the one who conducted the record and everything concerning this song down to the mastering process of it. I'm the one who conducted every aspect of it. So that is the reason why I left everything very rough for you guys to see the rough frame, to let you know that it is not easy. So you can see there's a lot of ticks that we have done here that we didn't use. Then 1 2 3 4 5 4 5 6. So you can see that we have about 5 vocals here just for the intro that we didn't use. The first verse that we didn't use, we later choose to use this one, and you can see that we have some other trials that we did here. So everything, I didn't delete all of them because I wanted the artists to have have a lot of tick about this vocal, so that when I am mixing, I am going to be having some control over it, and I can also be checking between the vocals to compare which one is perfect and which one is not good. So I can later on, when I'm done with the mixing, I can let go of the rest of the vocals that are not good. So that is the reason why I left it out. So I'm going to be playing this record for you guys, and we are going to be hearing this and see what we are going to be doing about it. This is already mixed, and I'm going to be taking off the plugin for you to listen to it very raw to see the difference. Let's go down. Yeah, I want to see my light shine for the life in time. Yeah, then I every day, then they pray make a fall. See the bad man for the area, they pray make a fall. Me I no go fit for. Yeah, see the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah. Then they pray make a no last. See everything where I get, they go for. One shot for my mama where they pray for me every night and they make a shine on. Alright guys, so this is what we have, and as you can see, we are going to be having some mixing process out of this place. So I'm going to be turning off every plugin that we have used on these vocals. I'm going to be turning them off so that you can listen to it in the raw form before we can get down. So let's turn it off. I'm turning off everything down to the reverb and every plugin. So let's take a listen. See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah. When they pray make a no last. See everything where I get, they go for. One shot for my mama where they pray for me every night and they make a shine on. Alright, so this is how it sound in the very raw form. This is how it was recorded. So before I start my mixing process concerning anything, I like to go in details of my vocals. Like as you can see, I go into my vocals in detail, and where I have to do some automating, toning down, removing, and also dropping down the volume. Like for this aspect, you can see that I dropped the volume down to minus 10.3 dB, which is the breadth of the sound. So if you listen to it here, there are some kind of breath in the vocals, so kind of taking in of some breath from the artist that are so harsh, but I needed this to be present, so I don't want to cut them off. So I just have to like split my band, or make it unique. Then I bring down the volume of only the breath aspect. So you can see that there are many other places here like I did the same thing. Like turning down the volume of the breath of the artist. One shot for, because I needed them, so I don't want to get rid of them, because once I get rid of them, everything at once is going to be sounding so artificial, and I needed that natural vibe and that natural this thing about it. So in this vocal I didn't do too much about it, but I'm going to be going in detail about it, so stay tuned as we get down. So first of all, I have some plugin I recorded my vocals with, which I use in tracking my vocals. So when you comes in, there are some plugin I use, which is some basic stock plugin, which is the gain plugin, which I have to tune to minus 8.8 dB. That is to reduce the volume of my vocals, because normally my vocals doesn't come in, it comes in very loud, and then I wanted it to match it with my beat. But first of all, one thing I do is that throwing up this gain plugin is a stock plugin on FL Studio. I first of all throw it on my beat, because once I have a beat that is already been processed and then I have it on my FL Studio, first thing I do is to bring down the volume of my beat to about minus 10 dB, or it can just tune it down to about minus 8 depending on the way the beat sounds, and so that it can give my artist that freedom to be able to record peacefully and record a calm and good vocals. So that is what I do. So that was what I do there. So after that, in the vocals, I'd like to add some equalizer, which is the EQ. As you can see, my EQ, then I use it in cutting down the low mid and all the other stuff. This is not just my main mixing, but this is what I do. I have it permanently on my FL Studio. It's always running on my FL Studio. I have it stuck inside. Once I open my FL Studio normally opens with all this plugin with a compressor, which is a stock plugin. I use this anytime I have an artist in my studio. I don't just record everything so raw that much. What I do is that I try to track it with this plugin to show what it says. So I have some kind of Saturn plugin, saturations also, which I added. It's also a stock plugin, but it's not my mixing process. I have another EQ from stock, which I do. Then that's just all I normally do with this. So talking about my major mixing plugin, so once I added all these plugins to it, this is how it can sound. See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah. Then they pray make a no last, see everything. So that's how it sound with all this. So when the artist recorded everything with that plugin on it, that's how it sound with it. So I don't actually put my recording process into it. I record, then I shift it to that channel, because if I have to record in that particular channel with it, I might want to make a change later. So I don't actually record in that channel. I record in another channel, which I bring it in to that channel. So once I'm done, I'm going to be sending my vocals to channel 2. As you can see here, I title this vocal box. I normally send my vocals into the channel 2, and once I send my vocals into the channel 2, I'm going to be taking off this virtual mix rack, because I didn't use it, so that I won't confuse you guys. So we're gonna let that to load. I don't know why it's taking some time. All right, so I'm going to turn off every plugin. So once I got my vocals, first thing I do is to get the key to my vocals, and what I do is I like to load up my auto key. This is how I get my keys to my vocals. I think I have some auto key. Yeah. So I get my auto key, and then I play. I'm going to be loading up my auto key on my beat, which is my instrumental. So I'm going to play everything together. See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. So I mustn't have my vocals on it, so I'm going to be muting my vocals, so that for better understanding for the new beginners. So that's my background vocals. I didn't mute it. That's the reason why it's sounding that way, and I didn't take off the plugin from it. So this is what this is where I got my key. This is E minor, and then I'm going to press send to auto tune. Once I press send to auto tune, it's definitely going to send it down. So once it send it to rate on my auto tune, this is what we are going to be getting. And once we get this, I'm going to try to work on my retune speed. And as you can see, my retune speed is I'm going to set it to about 3. This is what I set my retune speed to. And when it comes to my humanizing, I don't normally do this every time, but in some aspects, I like these vocals to sound like a live kind of sound, and then I wanted it to sound very natural. I don't want to do too much on it. I don't want to change the artist's voice. I don't want to change anything about it. I just wanted to add a little bit of spicy to it so that it can be able to enhance in the ears of the listener. That's all what I wanted to do. So I'm not doing too much, and I'm adding this auto tune. This auto tune might be much, but I feel it is perfect when I added it to this place. So let's take a listen to it with the auto tune.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah.
So as you can see, I added that auto tune, and then you can see it was about around 3. So that's how it sound with my auto tune, and that's only the thing I did with my auto tune. So another thing I did that is very, very important is that, as you can see, this is the volume of my vocals, and I turn it down a little bit to about minus 0.3.8. You mustn't do yours minus 0.3.8 because our vocals might sound very different. Yours might sound very different. So you have to balance your vocals with your beat. Balancing your vocals with your beat is another most important thing in mixing. Most people don't know this. That is the reason why when you finish mixing your vocals, you discover that they are not sounding just like the music you just listened to. The little thing that you just did there was just that your vocals is not balanced with your beat. So once I balanced it, it was because I balanced my vocals with my beat. That is because even when I'm not done with the mixing process, it's already sounding good, because I already balanced everything. So I didn't go into that process, but I'm trying to let you guys know one of the secret right there. So the next thing I added was my EQ. So I added the EQ. I am always very, very careful when I use my EQ. I've come to realize that using your EQ, you guys to be very, very careful, and removing some rumbles and some stuff with your EQs. You have to be very, very also very careful, because you don't know where the sweetness of your vocals might lie. If you started copying from online, okay, at 4K he reduced, he boosted, he did this, he did that, your pattern of song might be very different from what that person is doing, and at the end you discover that your vocals are not actually sounding just like the way the other person's vocal was sounding. That was because you cut off the spices, the sweetness of your vocals. You cut it off using your EQ. So when I am cutting off with my EQ, I am very, 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 very careful about it. So first thing I did was removing rumbles, which I know everybody knows how to do that. So I removed the rumbles about 7.8 hertz. So as you can see, just a little bit of it. So let's give it a play and see how it sounds.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. See the bad man for the area, they pray for me. Everything.
So once I mute it, you can see that you can actually not listen to anything. So I'm just trying to remove some kind of rumbles which you cannot actually hear with your physical ear, but might be a problem during your mastering process and during the conclusion of your music. It might comes out. So when you start adding plugin, those things might boost and they will comes out and start disturbing whatever you are trying to do. So I did that, and then I came to this aspect also. Let me give it a play.
See the bad man for the area, they pray everything.
So I'm going to be muting my beat so that we can understand what we are doing. So let's give it a try.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for.
So I will advise you to put on your headset, because if you don't put on your headset, you might not see what I'm cutting off. So at this aspect, I am cutting off about minus 0.81 dB. I am not even cutting up to 1 dB, and I have a reason why I'm doing that. It's not always this in my other vocals. In other vocals, I can cut off 1 dB, 2 dB, and sometimes even 3 dB, depending on the kind of pattern of song I am mixing. But for the pattern of this song I am mixing, what I'm doing is that I am just trying to balance my vocals and let it shine inside of the beat and let it sound natural and give it that kind of natural vibe. So I am only cutting minus 0.8 dB, which is not even up to 1 at this extent, and this is what I am cutting. I'm going to mute it so that you can see. So this is what I'm getting rid of. This is what I'm getting rid of. So I came to this aspect also. So that was very annoying, so I have to cut that up about 1.11 dB. So it was much. I have to do much about that. So I came to this aspect also. Let's take a listen.
They pray for me every night and now they do.
So that was much again, so I have to cut about 1.19 dB. So I am not doing this based on what I saw online or based on how I saw somebody, based on how I see somebody cutting down, but I am doing this because this is how I perceive it in my ears. So I put on my headset and I perceive it myself and I feel it myself. So the other aspect, I didn't touch anything. I came to this aspect also, which I dug down this, which is very annoying, and then I cut down this, which is also very annoying.
Every night and they make a fall.
So these are the kind of stuff I really don't want. So I did about minus 0.1, minus 0.1.16 dB, and then I did this about minus 1.00 dB. That was what I took off out of this EQ, and it was sounding very great. So let's take a listen to how it sounds.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah. Then they pray make a no last, see everything where I get they go for.
I don't know if I am going to be covering up for the backup sound in this tutorial, but maybe in my next tutorial I'm going to be talking about the backup, and you can see the way the backup sound. So I'm going to be talking about that in my next tutorial. So guys, stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, don't forget to comment, and don't forget to share up these videos to your friends to get an experience about what mixing is all about. So this is all about our fat filter EQ. So the next thing I'm going to be adding an NLS channel stereo, and then this is a plugin from Wave. I love to use this, but not always. So in this mix, I have to add a NLS channel to it, because what this does is like, should I say, a saturation, but it's not just all about saturating. I use it to like boost off the vocals and give my vocals a lot of weight to be able to stand out and make it not to sound very tiny, but to be very, very bold and giving that boldness about the vocal. So one thing I do is I go to my drive and I have to drive it all the way to 6.0 and then put it in Spark, and then you can choose between all this. You can choose to what suits you, but for me I use this for these vocals, but other vocals I might play between these two. So it just depends on how you perceive your vocals and what you feel sounds good in your ear. So let's take a listen to it with this.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah. Then they pray make a no last, see everything where I get they go for. One shot for my mama where they pray for me every night and they make a shine on.
Alright, so I am going to be muting this so that you can take a listen to it without this plugin. So let's take a listen.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah. Then they pray make a.
So I just turned on the plugin now, and you can see the difference it created, and it was sounding very, very nice, and that was all I did with that. So the next plugin I'm going to be adding is my Pro Gate, and this is from Fat Filter. What does this does? I use this in removing some background noises in my vocal, under my vocals, and then this is what I use it for. I always don't play too much in this. I don't touch too much in this. I just use this to just cut off some background noises and some stuff. So I try to turn on my threshold to about -55, and you can see my threshold was around this area, and I'm just doing a little of it. I'm not doing too much, because once you do too much it can just mess up your vocals. So I use this to just do it, should in case I started adding a lot of plugin and then it started boosting those noise to come out. So that is what I did with that, and it sounds this way.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah.
So you can see the cleanliness of it. It sounds very clean with this plugin, and that's all I did about that. So at this moment we are about to compress. So first of all, I like to use the CLA76 plugin from Wave. I use it to compress my vocals, and what I do is that my input is about 30 and while my output is about 18, and then I come to this place. This is where I do the lot of work, and which is I have to like play with my attack, and my attack was about 5.8. I put it very very fast, and my release also was very very fast, and my ratio was about 4, and I'm turning off my analog, I'm turning it off, and that is what I did with it. So the process of me doing this is me listening to my vocals in my ears and see the fine setting that is best for this vocal. So let's take a listen.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah.
So if I'm turning this off, you can see the difference, how it sounds.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall.
And when I turn it on, you can see the difference.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah.
So I am not doing too much in that. I'm just trying to like cut off a lot, just do something very little and let the release to be very fast. Same with the attack also. So the next plugin I'm going to be adding is the CLA2A, and this is where I use this plugin to like touch up my peak and then boost up some stuff in my vocals to make it bring out the life in it. So I did this. You can see my gain was about 40, and it is my peak reduction that I have to like work on, which I have to put it to about -59.48. you mustn't use my setting. You can just depending on your kind of vocals you're mixing. Always I also like to turn off my analog, and I don't touch any other things. So let's take a listen to it.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah. Then they pray make a no last. See everything where I get to go for. One shot from my mama.
So as you can see the way it sounds. So let me turn off the plugin and let's see the difference it's creating.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they.
So let's turn it on and see what it creates.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything.
So as you can see, after adding this plugin, you can see that it boosted a lot of breadth from the artist into the mix. That's where you see that I started working on the breadth, minusing it. So let's take a listen and see.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything.
So when I didn't add all this plugin, you cannot perceive the breadth. So you can see that I have to minus about -10.3 dB of the breadth, and I have to turn it down all the way here. So imagine I didn't do this. You can see the way the breadth will be boosted. So that was what this compressor did, is bringing out the clarity of the vocals, and some hidden things is just boosting them up. So once it boosts it up, it is now I started working on it manually to cut off those things that are not really necessary, bring it down to sound natural and also sound good. So that's all I did with this plugin. So the next thing I added was a vocal doubler. So in this mix, I didn't do too much because I didn't felt like doing too much, and I feel like the vocals are also already natural and I don't feel like doing too much. So I added a vocal doubler to it, and which I only touch this. I only have to do some stuff here, tune down, tune it, and tune this to whatever aspect I wanted it to be. Why my effect was all the way to 100, but I have to reduce my effect all the way to 22 because I wanted my vocals to be very spread in my ears, in my headphone, and also in my speakers also. So let's take a listen to it.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah.
So without it, let's take a listen.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a.
So you can see that my vocals is just stick in the middle, but I wanted it to go a little bit spread, not too much, because this is not a backup vocal. So I'm going to be keeping it right in the middle, but at least a little bit extend to the left stereo, to the left and right stereo of my vocals. So let's take a listen to it while it's on.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah. Then they pray, make a.
So as this extend now, I started listening to some kind of harshness in my vocals, which I wanted to use my de-esser to work on it. So I added this de-esser to it. This is my de-esser, and then I added this to it. So I have to like use my threshold to about minus 0.3, 31.5, because I don't want these vocals to sound very matured, and I want to de-ess a lot of stuff out of it. So I de-ess so much out of it. So let's take a listen.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah. Then they pray, make a no last. See everything where I get, they go for. One shot from.
So that was what I did there. So the next thing I added was my Valhalla reverb. So I added this reverb. I used about 2 reverb on this song, but I used this first reverb. So I use this reverb to like I use this whole reverb, and then I have to select it. I just selected it from this aspect, and then what I did there was not too much. I didn't add too much in this reverb. Sorry, I didn't add too much in this reverb. The mix was about 4.3, but my decay was high, was about 4.39. So because I am going to be using another reverb, this is going to just be my background reverb that is going to hold my vocals. I'm not going to be adding an EQ to this. I'm not going to be changing anything in this. I'm just going to just throw it in that way. My pre-delay was about 73.93. So how do I do this? Is I go to a website called reverbcalculator.com. I wish I could display it on my screen, but if I could, I'm going to do that. So I have to like select I have put on my tempo of my song, which is about 1.101.996, and then it's going to give me my pre-delay. So once you enter your pre-delay, you see that your reverb is already sounding matching to your song. So let's take a listen to it.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah. And they pray, make a no last. See everything where I get, they go for. One shot for my mama, where they pray for me every night and they make a shine on.
So I didn't add too much of this reverb. I just added a little bit of this reverb to about 4.3, and that was what I did there. So let's just say, let me take a listen to it again.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah. Then they pray, make a no last. See everything where I get, they go for. One shot for my mama, where they pray for.
So that was what I did concerning my reverb. So at this extent now, I am going to my delay and my reverb. So first things first, I have to add a delay to it, a reverb to it, which my reverb was a stock reverb from FL Studio, which I have to like take all my wet all the way, and then my dry all all the way down, and then because I have to like sidechain, so as you can see I have to sidechain to this aspect to my lead vocals, which is connected to my vocal box where my vocals is sent to. So as you can see, I have to just sidechain. I believe everybody know how the sidechain work, so I have to sidechain and then reset. So I go to my reverb, use a stock reverb from FL Studio, because this reverb is also very nice. My weight was all the way up, so the rest of the thing I didn't touch much in this. My room size was all the way up also, so that was what I did with this. The next thing I added was an EQ, and then removing some background stuff I don't really like. So I wanted my reverb to sound like there is no reverb on it and sound very natural, so I have to cut this off also. So I have to sidechain using my fruit limiter to sidechain. I selected the compressor, and then I have to call up the sidechain to my vocals, my lead vocals, as you can see, and then I have to touch my threshold. Why I'm doing this? Because I don't want my reverb to spray all over my vocals. I want my reverb to only sound where my vocal is present, and when my vocals goes off, the reverb also goes up. So that was what I was trying to achieve here. So let's take a listen to it and how it sounds.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah. Then they pray make a no last. See everything where I get they go for. One shot for my mama where they pray for me every night and they make a shine on.
So that was what I did there. So the next thing I added was my delay, and then I did the same thing with my delay, which I sidechained to my lead vocals, which connected to my vocal box. So as you can see, and then I have to go to my delay. I use a delay. I love to use this delay from FL Studio. I have other delay from Wave, but I love this delay is more easier for me to manipulate and work towards it. So I have to select the step 4, which I normally do. Sometimes I go on 3, sometimes I also go on 8, depending on the kind of vocals I am actually mixing. So that was what I did there. And then my dry was all the way down, and I didn't touch any other thing. It was set on pink pond, yeah. And then I went down to my reverb. I added a little bit of reverb, which my weight was down, not that much, so I didn't touch anything in the reverb, just adding a little bit of reverb to my delay, and then side chaining it, just like I just told you guys just now, just doing some little bit of side chaining. As you can see, I just did something little about the side chaining. So I did sidechain to my lead vocals. And why am I using this limiter on it is because I wanted my delay to always be present once I only want my delay to only be present once when my vocals is singing, my delay will be down, and once my vocals stop, is going to spray a little bit. It's not going to be active when my vocals are present. It's only going to be letting go and other stuff. So I just touching my threshold, my nil, and my ratio. That was all I did about that, and everything sounded this way.
See the bad man for the area, they pray for me every night and they make a fall. Everything that they do, I they give thanks to Jah, for the blessing is from Jah. Then they pray make a no last. See everything where I get they go for. One shot for my mama where they pray for me every night and they make a shine on. On this side, I'll be life on time. Yeah, are you making memories? Everything that you got.
So guys, this is everything I did concerning these vocals. And guys, if you are interested in this in this channel and you love this mix, don't forget to drop a comment concerning this, because I'm going to be coming back with the mastering process and also the mixing of the vocals, the background vocals process right here on this channel. Thanks for watching. and have a great day.